Alrighty, Mormons. C. David, apparently, at 10 o'clock today, decided he would attempt to defend the church. He failed miserably. So miserably that I get to focus on him for a whole video to explain it. Alright. Now this is on the video of Defending LDS Church. It's me, Jesse, LDS Secrets, Freemasonry, Occult, Satanism, Part 1. This is It's Me, Jesse. It's her channel video. And it had to do with Freemasonry, Occult, and Satanism symbols. And I put in my beginning title, Defending LDS Church, which was a trap, but apparently not a recognizable trap, because 7 people have all put a thumbs down, where my thumbs up is the only one on here. And so, C. David dares to comment. And he's obviously a Mormon of the church. Yeah, well, do I need to read all of this? I don't. Alright, I won't read all of it. I'll just summarize his initial comment. He says, I don't believe Jesse has the symbols correct. And then he goes on to explain incorrectly the symbols. And then he decides to talk about, as to your comments on the 14-year-old girl. And then he tries to explain how back in the early 1840s, 16 was the marriageable age. And 14 should not be considered wrong and immoral. He apparently did not read David Whitmer's book, which is where we get it from. And then he tries to claim, oh, her journal. No. But I'll get into that. And so he tries to defend the church by saying it was okay for Joseph Smith to be sealed to a 14-year-old girl. But then says, well, he never had sex. And so I reply, C. David, thank you for commenting. However, you missed my video series on polygamy. Notice, you missed my video series on polygamy. Okay, I did a 3-video series. 3-video, yeah. And so I apparently don't have it in a playlist. So that's my bad on that. I was looking for a playlist of it and couldn't find one, so I had to put in the 3 videos separately. Apparently the first video was done, and then I never got around to the second one until a while later, and then finished it off with the third one. But anyway, I said, you are missing out on much information and leaving out much context, and thus trusting in the misinformation of others. He makes a mistake on what I'm assuming there, or what I'm informing him of there. For example, I recommend going back into your own genealogy to learn the ages of your ancestral matriarchs, to learn their ages when first married, or the conception of their first child if they were too poor to pay for a marriage. Because I've done it with mine. 25s, in their mid-20s. Some were 18, but most were in their mid-20s. And it's because, excuse me, And it's because of the poverty. Poverty prevents people from marrying. And so, yes, some were able to have kids, and that sort of inspired the men to get, I don't know, whether more inspired to look for work, or people are more inclined to say, oh, you got a kid coming? I need to get you some work, don't I? I'll work for my son. He's got a job, you know, whatever. But, okay, then here's C. David's reply. And remember, he needs to defend the church. Listen carefully. Not sure why I should look at antagonists. Where is he getting the word antagonist? Did you hear that in my reply? I don't see it in my reply. Where is he getting that from? Okay. He must not be talking about something I said then. He's just coming up with his own thing. Not sure why I should look at antagonists of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You misspelled it, by the way. The is supposed to be capitalized, and there's a hyphen between latter and days. And you need to capitalize latter and days. You're going to obey the president on this matter, you need to get it right. But that's beside the point. We're talking about defending the church in regards to the issue of polygamy here, because he's making an issue to defend the church with the polygamy issue about Joseph Smith being accused of having sex with a 14-year-old girl. And he's saying, why should I look at antagonists of the church as a primary source? And here's his logic here, which really isn't logic, it's a fallacy. That's like looking to Adam Schiff for evidence on Russian collusion when the subject expert findings has no collusion and proves Schiffer wrong. Oops. What are you doing? My program that I'm working on is acting weird. All right. So, yeah, I'll reply to this now, what I replied to him. He's now saying that Barr's 4-page report of what has been established now as over 300 pages of Mueller's report. I think the math, according to all of the indictments alone, are more than 300 pages. I'd have to check, but there's 37 indictments. I'd have to check. And with the arguments also, with those who are able to go to court, there's more information that's gleaned from those. So the indictments alone through the court process is more than 300 pages. Regardless, he's assuming that Barr is telling the truth and is a primary source for the Mueller report in 4 pages. No. Barr's report is a secondary source of the Mueller report. We are being asked to trust Barr's 4-page report as being a complete summary of Mueller's report. And so that's why the Republicans and Trump especially are immediately rushing off to say, yes, I'm cleared, I'm innocent, woo! woo, yeah, now let's arrest all these Democrats for treason, before they find out the truth from the Mueller report itself. And so, yeah, he makes a big mistake with a huge error on not understanding what a primary source document is. He then, however, does say correctly that the 14-year-old girl's journal is a primary source. Yes, it is. But can we trust her? Let me do some searching here for a second. Joseph Smith. Okay, Joseph Smith Papers. And here we have speculation, secondhand witness, a report of the Joseph Smith Papers, which we can't trust this report. And so I don't know why the church is even bothering to put this forward. Why not just publish Joseph Smith's papers as Joseph Smith's papers? Don't put all this nonsense in here to try to explain it. That's absurd. Cut it out. Just give us the book or the volume set, whatever. Okay, I'm not even seeing them refer to it because apparently they've got links to the different things, but they're rambling off here for so long. Yep, Willard Richards. When Willard Richards began writing the journals in this volume, do you know who Willard Richards is, Mormons? You missed my true conspiracy video of Joseph Smith's murder. Willard Richards was the man who murdered Joseph Smith. But the church won't tell you that, because that's how Brigham Young got into power. But it's Willard Richards who altered the documentation and why the Joseph Smith Papers were necessary in correcting the original history of the church, which the church still uses the old history of the church version for the Joseph Smith story, or history as it's called. So this isn't going to talk about it because the incident happened, well, yeah, David Whitmer knew of the handmaid before he was booted out. And that was in 1838. Oh, now you're calling him doctor? 41 pages of the journal dedicated to recording the graphic testimony of witnesses in this trial. Which trial is this? Court document. Okay. Attorney staffing, militia. He drafted the ordinances. Council meetings served for judge. Municipal court. Cases involving slander, assault, petty thievery, and disorderly conduct occupied much of the court docket. Although more specialized and technical cases occasionally appeared, such as the Dana v. Brink medical malpractice suit, the 41 pages of the journal dedicated to recording the graphic testimony of witnesses in this trial probably reflect scribe Dr. Willard Richards' interest in the medical details more than Smith's. But the technical language about legal precedents and procedure illustrates how Joseph Smith understood and applied the law. He's got lots of experience going to jail. Okay, so yeah, we're not going to find it in this link. Okay. I'm taking up too much time trying to find something that apparently doesn't exist. Okay. See, the thing is, Fanny Alger, not Algier, Alger, is said to have married Joseph Smith early 1833. This is the church claiming this, according to the records of the church. And yeah, according to George D. Smith, he's not a primary source. Algier's relationship with Smith was attested to by several people, including Emma Smith. And he said both during Joseph's lifetime after the members of the organization. You're not. No. Ugh. Come on. And so no, it doesn't. Polygamy. No! Oh my God! Wikipedia! Shame on you! Here's the source for Emma as a witness of Joseph and Fanny Alger. Linda King Newell and Valine Tippett Avery, in their biography, Mormon Enigma, report that Emma witnessed several marriages of Joseph Smith to plural wives. They are not a primary source. Do you not get it, people? You can't trust Mormon Enigma as the primary source for saying Joseph Smith was married to this 14-year-old girl around 1833. That Emma is also a witness, because we say it in our book. If Mormon Enigma uses a primary source document from Emma, why is Emma's primary source document not being referred to here? Because it doesn't exist. These two gossipers said, oh yes, Emma said, I heard it. And see, when is this book? When? Come on. No, no. Come on. Give me the... 1984! Are you kidding me? These weren't even contemporaries. Oh my God! I'm just going to say whatever I want, and that will be fact. Oh man, I just got rid of it. So, no, there is no primary source indicating that Joseph was married to Fanny in 1833. Unbelievable. I don't know who to be more frustrated with. Mormons trying to perpetuate this, or I guess in that case, Mormon Enigma. Those were anti-Mormons. Who thought that they could do hearsay material and fool the church into accepting it. Or Wikipedia for claiming their book in 1984 as a primary source document for Emma Smith in 1833. Oh my God. Did you guys not go to school? Were you not even taught how to do a report? Oh my God. I'm pissed right now. Unbelievable. All right. So anyway, C. David is trusting secondary sources because there is no primary source. And so as a result of him trusting the secondary sources, the hearsay, the created, he then goes on to justify Joseph Smith being sealed to this woman, this girl. But then he gets worse. Because then he tries to make other arguments in defense of the church using polygamy. He says, you can't argue the polygamist eternity marriage without accepting the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And again, you didn't put capitals in the hyphen, and you messed up. Nelson is mad. He's crying tears because of your disobedience. Has the power to seal on earth, as they do in heaven. Why can't I argue? What? I don't want to argue polygamy without accepting the church. Why do I have to? He doesn't clarify that. He doesn't have premises for this conclusion. Where's your premises? You're just telling me I can't do it. What? And then he goes on to say, Peter and his apostles also had this power. If that is the case, then we are Christ's church. How does he make that conclusion? How is the Brighamite Church Christ's church because Peter and his apostles had the power? Where's the premises? There's a whole string of premises missing from that. And then he goes on to finish the sentence with, and everything else is mute. What? Your argument is mute. That's unbelievable. And he says, you can't argue. What do you mean? Are you trying to silence me? Joseph Smith polygamist marriage without accepting we have the power to seal on earth as in heaven. Wait a minute. What? Brigham Young? What? How does... What? Brigham Young has the power, and so then I can't argue Joseph Smith's polygamous marriage. Does he not realize that he just confessed that Brigham Young was the one who did the sealings? I don't think he does. I don't think that's what he meant. He's assuming Brigham Young is the legitimate successor. But he's leaving that premise out. If you can't accept that, then why argue about Joseph Smith's sealing in the next life? All sorts of premises are missing. There's confusion and chaos in his argument. Oh my God. Okay. And so, yes, I sum up my 3 video series talking about only the Brighamite Church started polygamy, none of the other branch-offs. The Book of Mormon preached against it. His 1835 Doctrine and Covenants preached against it, which would be interesting if he did get sealed to Fanny in 1833 and then comes out in 1835 with another testament and a commandment not to be married to Fanny. So what C. David is not realizing is that he is digging a deeper hole for Joseph Smith if his information is to be trusted in the first place, which I've already demonstrated it's not. But I also point out that my 3rd great-grandmother, Desdemona Fulmer, my grandfather was John Solomon Fulmer, his sister is Desdemona Fulmer. She is one of Joseph Smith's wives. She was sealed by Brigham Young after Joseph Smith's death. That is not spoken of in the church, because the church claims, oh, no, it was 1843 when she was married to him. No. It was passed on through my family, the Fulmer family line, through my dad, that it was after. And it would have been after the announcement in 1853 here in the Salt Lake Valley, because that's when Brigham Young made the announcement. And then all of a sudden, everybody's writing in their journals, everybody's making changes to the records, everybody is altering records, all to conform to the new revelation of polygamy. And it's only in the Brighamite Church, none of the others. And so David Whitmer finally writes his book in 1886, after Brigham Young died and John Taylor was now president. Or was it Wilford Woodruff? I think it was still John Taylor, if I remember right. And so he was going off of the information of the Brighamite Church as being correct. but he clearly indicated they're the only ones practicing polygamy. I went over that in the video, in the polygamy series. And so what C. David is trying to defend the church with is that it was okay for Joseph Smith to be married to a 14-year-old girl, even though the Book of Mormon says no polygamy. Multiple times in the Book of Mormon, only corrupt people and churches use polygamy. In the Book of Mormon, 1830. 1833, he's going along with everybody's, or the church's claim that yes, he got married to Fanny in 1833, but it was just spiritual. But then Joseph comes out in 1835 with a Doctrine and Covenants, replacing the Book of Commandments of 1833. And in his Doctrine and Covenants, there is a section giving the commandment: one man, one woman in marriage. He doesn't even talk about sealing. There was no sealing going on then. Well, yeah, there was. Well, I'd have to look over it again. But he even mentions no polygamy in that commandment. One man, one woman. That is his commandment in 1835. No polygamy. And yet he got married to a 14-year-old girl in 1833? Are you sure? Because then also what else happened after 1853 when Brigham Young started it? In my video series, I point out that's when the angel all of a sudden appeared in 1833. Are you not seeing the conspiracy against Joseph Smith? So as much as critics are just eating all this up, oh, Joseph Smith's a horrible person, the church is demonic, it's Brigham Young. And so, okay, so here I rip him apart for his other arguments at the end of his claim. Okay, then you assume that having the keys of sealing, polygamy, that is an unsound connection, for you assume that having the keys means you must practice polygamy. And second, that Brigham legitimately obtained the keys. And third, you assume that because the Catholics claim Peter and the apostles had the keys, that therefore the Brighamite Church is Christ's church. Never mind that Brigham Young changed the very nature and character of God himself, or herself, or themselves, whichever God you worship, than the God of the New Testament. Your conclusion is faulty because you do not include enough premises to lead soundly to the conclusion. You didn't even bother to watch my 3-volume video series on polygamy. And then I put in the link to the videos and then concluded with, you are living on borrowed light, and that has turned into your stumbling block. And so there's my video title now. LDS Mormon digs LDS Church's hole deeper. So, all right, let's get to that. We're at 35 minutes, and we didn't really get to much else, and this other program is going forever. And so, alright, so I can't do what I want to do, so this is it for the day, I guess, because it'll be 4 o'clock by the time this gets onto YouTube. So, and that's wrap up time. So, and I still have more stuff to do. Alright. Guys, both Mormons and critics. Mormons, quit digging the hole deeper, and critics, I know it's fun to mess with Mormons' minds, throwing out stuff out of the blue, and see how many Mormons believe you. I know it's great laughter and chuckles, but I hope you don't live your lives like that. You have to follow the process too. All right.